now standing in front of the tunnel, which is the access point for Pixarus. The thing is that this is the only access point that we have to get into the helix of the coaster because of the footers of it. What makes it a bit special is that we had to dig around the footers of Fēnix, which of course was quite a challenge, and that's also the reason why Fēnix had to be closed for such a long time. In the end, of course, we will have a pump system in the deepest point of the tunnel to pump away the water, but if we put it down there now, it gets broken. So, hence why it was a little provisoric with the planks. And if we quickly come towards So here at the pavement you can already see that we have some holes placed there. That's where the future fencing will be. So in the end, this part of the hill will be the exit and this part of the hill will be the entrance, which is quite small. But since the attraction has a lower capacity, we figured that it would be better to do it this way. Also, you have to queue on the outer side of the circle, so to speak. That means you're closest to Fēnix when waiting. This is also one of the closest parts that we get to the safety envelope of the ride. So I think it's quite nice for you guys to wait here till Fēnix come around so that you can really get a sense of how close we're getting to this. Can you imagine yourself?
Fencing. The poles are actually the ones that we will have in the end, but there will be a filling out of steel that is also very transparent. So yeah, we thought it's very important that when you come so close to the coaster, that it's so nice that you can also really see the emotion on the people's faces, for example, and that you, for example, can put a camera through. But yeah, you also have a lot of I have to say restraints on the size of the openings. For example, TÜV sometimes calculates with when you have a guest with an umbrella, they shouldn't be able to stick the umbrella through an opening, because this is so close to the safety envelope that would then be in the safety envelope. So a lot of those kind of considerations. It's very nice that we have so close contact with them, because yeah, it's sometimes insane what you have to think about to keep everything safe. But yeah, they also realize why we wanted to do this, so they help us a lot with advices on those kind of things. So yeah, it's now a bit hard maybe to see through this, but you will in the end have much more view on the coaster.
The black foil that we have on here is mainly because of, yeah, we're still constructing here, so any debris of material we had to make sure that nothing can fall through, because at this point we are opening Fēnix in the afternoons. Next week it will be completely closed because we have to have some works on the outside, but in the afternoons it will be open and we will be working here. So this is a way that we could make sure, well, we can have Fēnix running and we can work on the construction site and keep it safe for everybody. And also, of course, yeah, keep our guests happy, because Fēnix is one of our biggest rides, which should be coming around now.
Yeah, the only part of this wall that's not done yet is above this roof, simply because it wasn't safe to work there while the coaster was running. So that's those kind of things that they can only do when the coaster is closed. Yeah. But we realize if the people don't scream, it's quite silent, right? I feel like the sound is kind of going outwards instead of inwards, which is it's quite comfortable to be here. So as Robert told you, the entrance, let's say the queue, is on the outside, so that leads directly into our show building, is how we call it. which Peter showed some sketches of. And we want to keep a bit of a surprise on how this exactly looks. But you will already see quite a good, you will get quite a good look on how big the space is and how sort of cozy it still feels, while it's of course quite a huge building.
Yeah, we do have to be careful now a bit because the spray concrete works, they're working here today. They're now for a coffee break, but it's a bit messy everywhere, so be careful where you stand and mind your head.
We had quite a lot of rain recently, so it's quite funny that buildings like this now also function for the building people as a nice shelter when they have to cut the wood, for example. It's not really cleaned up, but you see for example the cutting machines. They conveniently located them inside the buildings now. This is quite a funny thing that you can see now and that you will never see again, I feel like. This will be themed as kind of as a joke that it is the tower that you see from the outside. Yep. And when it's finished, we believe that that will really be the experience, because you have no connection to where the tower really is. So it should feel like this is the tower. But it basically is a hollow space, because underneath, as Peter told you in the presentation, is the technical room, which should be accessible and preferably accessible while the ride is operating. So we were able to make the technical room over there connect to the one here, where let's say technical employees can work or check while the attraction is open without having to bother people waiting or people in the attraction.
It's an optical illusion.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then when you spend a lot of time waiting for the ride and get excited, you will enter here into the group tower.
Yeah, if we hurry, we will see the coaster.
Well, you will be placed seats before the ride. And even this building, we wanted to give it something majestic, because it's true you're going on a flight, so here there will also be a show while you're standing waiting inside for your ride outside.
And of course we had this 3D model, so we were basically, before starting to build, able to stand everywhere in the project and see what the new sort of sidelines would be. But I have to say, the first time that we were able to access this platform here, it was really a positive surprise to see, for example, how nice now you can see the station of Fēnix. And also when we walk a bit further, you will be able to see the whole new area quite from above. You can see the boats on the lake. It's really a new experience of Avalon that you only got from the coaster from up high. But yeah, we believe it's quite an impressive new view. Also here, these sides will be open. There will be some show elements kind of above you, but you will be able to take some nice photos while waiting for Pixarus. And it's a little bit hard to sort of see, but the attraction now is in the upper position, and it will start turning this way, so it will really fly above the queue line. So also when you're on the slope up in the queue line, you will see the people in Pixarus already fly over you, which of course builds excitement, and yeah, it's really an impressive.
So now we're going to walk a bit below the attraction itself. Be mindful of your head.
Normally the attraction will not be stuck in this position for long, because it will start turning. Yeah. But to protect it and also to have more working space, we now have it in the upper position while finishing the building. some visuals of yeah, let's say a few months in the future. Of the exact spot where you're standing, this is what there will be. So yeah, I think it's quite logical, for example, that if you look at this building, yeah, it's already starting to take shape. This one is maybe a bit more a mystery. And I think maybe you've seen it in the media already, but this is then, for example, a drawing that one of our designers, yeah, we make them, then we turn them into a model like Peter showed. Then we talk about how to, for example, create a big chimney like that. And now you see, for example, the steel that's basically all the company that's working now needs to create a chimney like this. So it's really nice.
Wow.
We also work a lot with real wood. And the wood will always be connected with this concrete. So, for example, the small steel bar there is placed there to be able to create connections with the real wood that then can be covered in the concrete. It's quite a tricky process. Yeah, that's why it's so nice that we create these 3D models where you can basically see every connection and stuff like that. Then we have a house like this, and it's quite a nice one to see happen now, because you already see, for example, the shapes of the rocks being created in the steel. And yeah, now you can also already look inside the building. Still a little bit a secret, of course, what you will see, but the prime example of that we are never really building something, of course, very straight and measured. But you need these measurements to be able to build it. So we needed this steel structure to be very crooked in itself, because otherwise, yeah, it's quite easy to make it to look way too straight and standard. But yeah, we are quite lucky with the company that we work with a lot to make these kind of wooden structures, because they throughout the years have done a lot of work for Toverland, so they start to really know, okay, yeah, you don't want this to be straight, right? And they start to think a lot with us about yeah, about how to make it. But the structure really needed to be this crooked, because otherwise it's quite hard to yeah, in the conventional way build something so, yeah, crooked.
A structure which is going to be rocks, and these rocks are going to be on the other side where there's already a hole, and there is going to be a statue of Morgana, and that statue that reminds the people who live here of the dark ages when Morgana was the ruler of Avalon, and people pray for her that one day she will melt down her heart and become human again. So there you can find the statue of Morgana. This is the creatures cottage where all the little creatures live. I don't know if we have a picture, I don't think so. Where we walk past by, there is going to be a blacksmith. And on that side, there is going to be the books and the spells house. And all these houses, they have an interaction, interactive elements. For example, with this cottage, you will get a horn on the outside, and if you yell or blow into the horn, a very angry toad is going to wake up. Yeah. And that's also very great. You see there the construction of the chimney. A very big dragon is going to look through the chimney, and you will see his head popping out of it. More interactive elements here. Pixies are going to crawl everywhere.
Of course we had to think about, okay, we want to have to create this more lively environment, because there's of course a lot of creatures, and even Merlijn, they live in this area. So we had the choice, okay, what kind of creatures are that? And as you can see here, for example, the blacksmith, yeah, it's really this sort of same creature as you already meet in Merlin's Quest, for example. But we also took the freedom to think about, okay, what else would fit in Avalon? So of course the dragons, and the dragon that's kind of stuck in this chimney. We try to really make him look kind of like a silly creature that wouldn't realize that it was a bad idea to stick his long neck into the chimney. So also inside the house you will see his back kind of like being stuck. Also the pixies, of course. A little secret is that we will have baby pixies playing around in these houses, like rocking on the chandelier, on the ceiling, and knocking over stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of moving effects in these houses. But yeah, that's also, for example, why the floor is a bit higher, because you need a lot of technical things to go into these moving figures. And also, again, they need to be very accessible for our technical people to fix them when they're broken. So yeah, there's a lot of thought about, for example, this house. It's quite long till the back, but basically half of the building in the end will be a technical room where all these animatronics are sort of, how to say, the technology is for them to be able to move the way we want them. Yeah.
And in that house, the story is that Merlin, okay, it's the book and spell house. Of course, Merlin visits that very often, and there is the spell keeper. He also resembles the people who are already in Merlin's quest, and they are playing chess together. And on the outside of the cottage, you will have a, how is it called in English? Zandloper. Hourglass. Thank you. An hourglass. And when you spin it, the time will move forward, or the time will go backwards. But still, every time another element will happen. So maybe the books, they fall down, or they stand up again, or one of the books has pages who can turn, or no, there's going to be writing in the book, and unwritten, and yeah. A lot of things going on. Yeah, it's our own fairy tale lane, I think.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time thinking about that these effects, for example, with the turning hourglass, that it's very nice for the children that don't think about storyline or okay, what do I actually represent by turning an hourglass, but that in the same time there is this kind of logical thing that happens. Also, for example, by screaming into a horn, waking up a kind of a grumpy creature. It's a funny thing to do for the children, but it also, in the same time, is kind of a logical thing that will happen when you do something like that. In real life, you have a lot of interaction with Merlin's Quest, and also, of course, the other way around. When you're in Merlin's Quest, you will see the people playing. And it was very important for us to have it close to the restaurant. So when you're sitting there drinking something, that the children can play a bit, and that there's much more liveliness around the restaurant. Because of course earlier it was very like a sort of an oasis of peace here. It's also nice that it's kind of a brewing environment with a lot of sounds and things to see. And of course the big Dragonwatch always being visible from everywhere where you are, telling the people at the entrance of the area, okay, you need to be there. And still here it's sort of attracting you towards really the square that we're creating, the new square with the new attractions. The garden tour, and the estimation was a space of 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter would be enough. So we thought, okay, let's try to hide it as much behind greenery. So it's really a convenient space that we don't have to theme. But in the end it turned out that we needed much more space for all the effects. So yeah, we turned it into a little sort of garden house. But it was very important for us to still make it look Avalon. Because it would be very visible from the path that's going to be around the garden tour. So it's really like this, we as a design department only needed to make a quick sketch of how we envisioned it, and it's very nice to see that it's starting to look a lot like really an Avalon building, while in fact it really is just a technical room. So another important thing we took a lot of care in when designing the master plan of this area is was that we thought it was very important that people can also just hang around and take in the atmosphere in a nice way. And we of course already had a terrace here, but there was not a lot of shade and not a lot of things happening around you. With adding these attractions, we really thought the middle of that square would be a very nice place to have benches to picnic, and also look at the show that's going to happen in the clock, for example. And we also enlarged the terrace of the thing feather a bit on this side, because we realized that this is really going to be the site where the people would like to be sitting and see their children play. So you also see the existing playground that we had. We of course wanted to keep it, but we gave it a more central location, also closer to the restaurant, and opening up this whole square for a place where people can also freely sit and enjoy it. On the right you see the Little Dragons playground. This is of course the playground for really the smallest. Very safe, very close to the toilets and to the changing room, convenient for parents. Yeah, as you see in the render a little bit, we also thought a lot about what kind of pavement do we want. Because in Avalon right now you have a lot of the concrete flooring. Because we also wanted to have a bit diversity in that. We thought a lot about, okay, how can we accentuate, for example, places where you can sit. So there's different materials for, let's say, the square. Then you have the path where it's most convenient to walk, which is a different material. And then when you get more to the sides, where there are the benches to sit, that's again a different material. You already see the first terrace being created with the flagstone material. Yeah, it's something again quite new for Avalon, because we only had 2 materials, let's say, and now yeah, it was an idea to okay, what else belongs here and what else we could make fit into this medieval time of Avalon. And also nice, the lake that was of course already there. We took a bit of the lake away to create land for the new attractions. But it's a little bit hard to say what it exactly is, but we feel like now we created this queue line here. You see the lake much more and you really experience this nature much more around the park, which is also kind of an unexpected nice surprise. And also because it's 3 to 3, and normally in attractions mostly people go by duos. We also found it very important to have a single rider queue here. So you see the one closest to the attraction is for the single riders, and the rest, yeah. But the expectation is that the queue line won't be long for single riders, because there's often people needed to fill up the vehicles when, for example, people go by 4. So yeah. That's why it was very important here to have that. Yeah. We will already group the people before they enter the plateau, so they know which vehicle they need to go, all to speed up the process of loading the vehicles and having the highest capacity and the lowest queue time as possible. So this building, it was, if I'm honest, very late in the process. It was clear that this is something we were able to realize, because it was always on the edge of being in the budget or not. But it was very important for us to have it, because it will basically mean lower queue times and also much more comfortable waiting experience. And for us, of course, very nice, because this is the only spot here where we were able to really tell the story of what this attraction is representing, and Merlin gets a role inside, so stuff like that. We are very happy that we were able to build it. Backlight paint. Yeah, we of course open at Halloween, and in the summer it's much more late, in the future as well. So yeah, it's quite a lot of thinking went into what if it's dark, and how do we make the experience also in the dark nice. You're starting to see where the lamps will be, because the cables come out of the ceiling. I can tell you that's quite a challenge to hide all the cabling, but as you can see, right now it doesn't look like it, but we were able to put the cabling over the roof, which is a nice thing to be able to hide all the technology that is needed. And a big cable coming from the center, but I think if you take a close look at the impression, you see quite a centerpiece. I think you recognize all the characters.